In this video, I'll take you to a site which was designed and set up to help people familiarise themselves with a common European framework of reference. On this site, I'll click through with you and show you different familiarisation activities, and I'll show you benchmark examples where learner performances have been benchmarked against the different levels of the CEFR, so that you can familiarise yourself how people interpret the levels and how you could incorporate these scales into your teaching. Okay, here we are at the CEFR project homepage. The CEFR was a project commissioned again by the European Council in order to develop materials for practitioners to familiarise themselves with the CEFR. So what you find here on the first page is information about the CEFR project, the partner institutions. You find information, an overview of how to get to know the CEFR. There's familiarization pages and a training area. And the same kind of links you find here in the top page to navigate you through. You can go on the pages getting to know the CEF, on the familiarization area and the training area. And if you think this is all too much information, the project people have compiled helpful information in a user manual, which you can then relate to if you want to find your way through. Okay, let's have a look how we can get to know the CEFR. Under this heading, you find information, brief information on the CEFR, the approach adopted, the user groups it is aimed at, the document itself, and a historical overview. Browse these pages at your own leisure. Okay, now we're in the familiarization area, where you find useful information on the scales themselves and also on where the descriptors come from. And should you not be too familiar with the scale system, you find helpful introductory activities here, what you can do with the scales and how you can interpret the levels. Now let's have a look what we can do as introductory activities with the scales. For example, let's have a look at reconstructing a scale. And let's assume you're interested in spoken production. What we get here is the broken down scale for spoken production. And when you move your mouse over the colored buttons, you see the descriptors popping up. Can produce simple main isolated phrases about people and places, there's the black button. And the green, for example, say can produce clear, smoothly flowing, well-structured speech, and so on. And your task is then to bring these descriptors in a naturally ascending order. And at the end, when you've reordered your descriptors, the program will show you the solution and you can see whether you got it right. Another area which you may find interesting is the so-called training area. Here you find different tasks to rate language tasks and actual learner productions against the CEFR. Again, you have different communicative activities. For example, let's stay with the speaking. In this area, you have to familiarize yourself with the task and the speaking sample. The task is given here. That was the task given to the student, and then you see an actual video.
Cancer societies in Europe have several very important goals they think are the most important in cancer control. First of all,
an actual student sample which you can play as often as you need to. Then you can go on to the scales. Here you have the scales of the CEFR and you have to assess the student's production against the scales. And once you've done all the assessment for the different scales, the program will actually show you what other experts have rated and you can compare yourself to the other experts. Well, in this last video I've taken you to the page of the CEFR project, and the main aim of this project is to help you familiarise yourself with the CEFR as a document and particularly with the scales and how you can use the scales to assess learner performance or to judge the difficulty and the demands of different language tasks.